Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Talking Grit is brought to you by the Monroe County Reporters, Monroe's top news source for police, fire, and community events.
Code 3 at Depot Street. Truck boy at request.
Follow them on Facebook, and for $2.99 a month, you can become a subscriber and get the news you crave even faster.
Welcome back to Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood, and with me as usual is Jacob Litton. Hey man, it's good to have you back from vacation. I don't think we've talked much since the Jeremy Reisman episode, so how was vacation?
It was good. We were in Florida. It was hot. Too hot. Couple mishaps on vacation. The air conditioner went out in the van.
Great timing. Timing.
Right. Can't imagine how bad that was in the Florida heat with no air conditioning. But went to Universal, did some cool things with the family. Nice to be able to, be away from work and away from school and everything for a little bit. But it's good to be back home. Good old Michigan.
Bad news now is we're going to be working together again,
Well, I still got another week away from that.
Yeah, I know. It's nice. I got one picture from you from Universal, and you're wearing a Lions hat. So even down there, you're repping the Lions. That's
always.
Cool. I thought we'd also hit on the Jeremy Reisman episode too, because that was really cool that he joined the podcast. I'm still kind of think it's surreal that he jumped on our podcast. So that was really, really cool.
Very cool of it.
Yeah.
And you're right. It was a surreal experience. It was awesome though. Being able to talk to somebody with an inside source like that, someone that's been doing it for a long time. And you can tell by talking to him and everything, just very knowledgeable.
We went over the outline with him ahead of time, and he was cool with everything. And yeah, he just was a pro. He just came on, was able to talk about everything at ease. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. And he was really nice to us afterwards, talked to us, gave us some advice. And yeah, really appreciated it. It was awesome. Great.
Yeah, we're
great
just here
experience.
talking football. He hopped right on like it was nothing. We're just talking grit,
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's welcome to come back for sure.
Anytime. Less I have to talk to you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, maybe you'll show up next time too.
Yeah. Are you going to let me talk next time?
You were having issues that night too, so I can leave it at that. But you had some family issues that night that needed to be taken care of. So it was a pro that you jumped on when you did. So I appreciate it.
We had a baseball game, and my son took a fastball to the hand, but it's not broken, so.
Yeah. So his son was in the emergency room as we're recording that episode. Jacob's getting updates on his phone.
Yeah. That was just the start of my luck towards vacation,
Yeah.
I guess. I should have seen it coming.
Yeah, I know. That did start it right off really, really poorly. That sucks. But, what doesn't suck is Lions football. And that's what we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk a little bit about minicamp wrap up. We're in this, down period now where all the players kind of get their final rest before training camp hits. First question I got for you, Jacob, is what position group are you most interested in seeing how it shakes out in training camp?
I think that's an obvious one. It should be, right? I mean, I think we're all looking at the cornerback. We're all looking at the defensive back group. That was our weak spot last year, and that's where we've made the most changes, the most improvement, it looks like. Obviously, when you look at the players that we have in there, we really want to see how that shakes out, who, they're fighting for spots. I want to see exactly what happens. I want to see the depth chart. Who do you think right now, if you just had to guess before we even get into it, depth chart-wise, who do you think starting if you just had to pick the two corners?
Oh, it's definitely Carlton Davis and Terrion, and the players seem to be pretty much on Terrion that he's the real deal. He showed out pretty good in minicamp, and I think even the vets were impressed with him. So I'd be shocked if it's anywhere. A lot of times they'll slow play it, but I think Terrion, he'll start out with the second team and then move up. But I think it's going to be Terrion covering the number 2 and Carlton Davis covering the number 1. How about you?
Right. But I mean, based on where we drafted him and everything also, do you think that's even really beneficial to throw him out there with a second team, or should we just throw him right out there and see what he's got?
Based on how the Lions kind of do all their rookies is they generally don't throw them right out on the first team. I think that he might just go out on the second, because a lot of times they'll do the second, then rotate him up on the first, and then if he's, kind of overmatched, then he'd go back down to second. But I think he's going to be shuffled between the first and the second team. I don't think he even sees the third team. I don't, unless something
There
happens.
wouldn't really be a point. I don't think that helps him out or helps us out at all.
No.
I mean, what it's looking like right now is that Carlton's going to be matching up with the wide receiver 1. You got Terry on it 2, and then you got Amik looking at the nickel spot, right?
Yeah, that's how I see it now. However, Emmanuel Mosley, if he's healthy, where could he be 2 years ago? When he was healthy, he was playing like a number 1. So, it's a good problem to have.
You've got the other rookie, Rakestraw.
I think it's good that we don't have to really count on Rakestraw to come right in. The cornerback is traditionally a hard position to come right in and play at a high level. So it's good that we can slow play him a little bit, at least, if everyone comes in healthy. So I think that's to his advantage. However, this regime has shown that if he comes out and plays well, then he'll be out there. They go based on play.
Right. That's what I'm interested to see how that all shakes out and see who outperforms who. Even when you look at the safety position, though, I mean, we've got Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, and you've got Iffy. There's 2 true starters technically out of safety. I think all 3 of them are going to get playing time, but that's going to be a battle there too.
Yeah, my feeling is just based on everything that I've seen, they're not going to pull Brian Branch. He's going to be on the field at all the time. So if he's not a safety, he's going to be nickel.
He's dangerous everywhere.
What's crazy is that push Iffy off not being a starter, even though he arguably was one of our top defensive players in the last, 6 games of the season, the regular season. It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. It'd be a shame to keep Iffy off the field because he was a game changer last year.
Exactly. But I mean, when you're looking on paper and you're looking at the depth chart, it actually looks that way. I mean, it looks like Branch and Kirby are going to be the safeties, and then Iffy's going to have to rotate, which how he played towards the end of last year. I mean, that's crazy to think about, that the position group is so deep now that somebody like that's going to be coming off the bench.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, injuries happen, so it's nice to have that depth.
Knock on wood. Why would you say that?
Because it happens every year, man. But
we already had a scare.
Yeah, we did have one scare, but at least that person wasn't going to be a starter. It was scary, you don't want to see anybody injured, but it wasn't CJGJ going down the first. Was our first day of training camp? Remember that
we
at
were
work?
At work when that happened.
Yeah. Or at work, we're like, oh God, this is how it's going to start. I think another interesting group besides just the cornerbacks is going to be our defensive line. Mostly it's because the reports about Levi playing well. It's hard to judge a defensive line with no pads. So that could all be for naught. But if he plays well, it's going to be interesting to see how the line shakes out. DJ Reader and Aleem are your starters. Who's going to be the next one up? They were even, I read they were trying to leave out on the edge. So that's kind of interesting.
It's nice to have too, especially on the D-line and on the interior D-line, because you can rotate those guys in and out and let everybody, get a playoff fresh set of legs and just, keep up the intensity.
Yeah, that would be nice. Levi could come in and spell Aleem, play next to DJ, or Levi could play next to Aleem, and Aleem can play more of the nose because he can do that. So it's going to be kind of interesting if Levi can play, if he's healthy, if he, plays to the level that the Lions need him to play. It kind of just adds another person in there.
Broderick Martin, we don't know what's going on with that either.
We don't know. And then they also have that Matthew Betts, who was the Canadian Football League Defensive Player of the Year. He might be coming on just as special teams until he can get ready to play. I know cornerback is mostly because it's our draft picks and we have some high draft picks. We want to see how that shakes out. But I think defensive line is going to be interesting as well. We won't see DJ Reader for a while, so the other guys are going to have a chance at training camp to, get more snaps and show out.
Yeah, I agree. Outside of that, maybe not in terms of positional battle, but to see what's going on with the wide receivers, I'm kind of interested to see how we utilize everything there too. Because we already know Amon-Ra's wide receiver 1, you got Jameson wide receiver 2. That's where you're kind of looking at who's going to take over Josh Reynolds' spot, who's going to get those targets. Is J-Mo going to take that leap that we're hoping? He was drafted high. We've seen what he can do. If he can do that consistently, can you imagine if towards the end of the year it's more like, wide receiver 1A and 1B, if him and Amon-Ra are both playing at a high level?
Yeah, I think J-Mo can he pushed those safeties back just a little bit. And if he can do that consistently, if we could show enough threat to go over the top, the intermediate stuff where Amon-Ra just eats up yardage, that could and Laporta too, in the intermediate routes, man, that could be a devastating combo. They're going to have to respect J-Mo's speed. It's a matter of, can we consistently get enough deep threat to make it a viable, okay, we got to back up. We can't play out close to the line because they're going to just go deep on us. And if the safeties have to play back, that helps the running game too. The run game has more space. They can't pull the safeties down into the box to stop Montgomery and Gibbs. So it all works together. I mean, Ben Johnson is the ultimate chess player. He'll figure it all out, but it's going to take the players to perform, and hopefully J-Mo can do what we need him to do, and that is to just put the threat of the deep ball in there, and Goff's got to get it to him.
Right. No, I'm excited about that potential too. You can also, you got Demo and Gibbs in the backfield at the same time. You got Gibbs running out to the slot, or you can just run a route from the backfield. Then you've got Amon-Ra, you've got Laporta, J-Mo, and Ja all out there. That's crazy. And with our line giving Goff time,
I know.
Like you said, if the threat for the deep ball is there, we've got that whole inside to play with, and we've got some guys that are real dangerous with the ball in their hands.
Yeah, you give those guys open space. I mean, you give Gibbs open space. He's already shown he's going to juke you out of your shoes and take it to the house. Just thinking 3 years ago how talent poor the team was, and now we're sitting here thinking, we have so many options to go to, and hopefully people are healthy again. I think the forgotten wide receiver is Khalif Raymond. He can, if you give him space, he's super fast too. He didn't seem to be as relied upon as he was the previous year. He seemed to be more relied upon on third down. Kind of switched to more Josh Reynolds last year, it felt like.
He's quick, shifty if you're running him from the slot. He had 44 targets last year. Reynolds had 64.
Okay.
So, I mean, really, that's not that far off. I think that he only caught 5 or 6 less passes than Reynolds.
Yeah.
It just seemed like Reynolds was out there in the red zone and more impactful catches.
Yeah, I think we had talked before. Josh Reynolds, third down, he was looked to on third down quite a bit, and then also in the red zone. So maybe that's, part of it too is perception, because those are the big money downs, so you're going to remember those downs. DPJ is going to be another one. Is he going to step up? We're going to need him to hopefully catch some third down passes. Just take a little, he has to do everything that Josh Reynolds does, but we got to replace him piecemeal. So hopefully he's part of that. And the other guy that they've been talking about is Antoine Green. It'll be interesting to see him out there. I've heard even Brad Holmes talk him up a little bit. Whether that's just minicamp talk and coach speak, I'm not sure, but he's had a year to develop. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Not so much fighting for depth chart, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 position, but I mean, we know the guys are going to be on the team. How are the targets going to be spread around? I don't think that they're going to be cutting any of these players.
One other position group that I'm kind of interested in seeing, and it's not a position battle at all, but it's quarterback, just because I want to see Hendon Hooker out there throwing passes and seeing how he can perform. And I think it'll be, interesting to see his growth. He had some ups and downs, it sounds like, in minicamp. He's going to have time to refresh himself during this, time off, and then go for it. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. And I'm also looking forward to see him in the preseason games.
For sure. In the preseason, see what he's got. Now that he's healthy, going to get a full off season to work with. There's no pressure on him to perform. I heard the same thing, kind of up and down They actually had him with a camera attached to his helmet, I guess, the last practice session. And that wasn't for social media or wasn't released to anything. I guess, if they're just looking to see what he sees on the field or looking to see how he's reading his progressions. But that was something I thought that was interesting. They said the camera was attached to his helmet the whole practice.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that, and then I read that article as well, and I thought that was interesting because I've never seen that coaching tool used before. So maybe it's specific for him, or maybe it's something they're just trying. They just want to see what he's seeing. Then he'll probably be able to go and review, and that'll just be another training tool. So is there any other position groups that you're particularly looking at in training camp?
No, I think we covered it. I did want to talk about something, Dan Campbell had said in an interview, and I texted you. I was watching the interview live, and I texted you right away, is when he talked about Aleem playing fullback.
Oh, yeah.
When he mentioned that right away, I was like, oh my God, I got to text Jason. I texted you right away, like as the live interview was happening.
Yeah.
I didn't realize when he had said it, but I guess that he actually played running back in high school.
Yeah.
Did you see any of those highlights?
I did. I saw them actually on Twitter. Believe it or not, I was on there and I saw them. I saw someone tweeted it out and I was like, all right, he's not, he doesn't look super swift out there, but a guy that big running the ball is impressive.
Right. Well, last year we put Rodrigo out there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Aleem's as fast as Rodrigo, but he's a wrecking ball. And I assume when he's out there, he's going to be out there to make holes and not necessarily carry the ball.
Yeah.
But, 4th and 1 situation, if you see Aleem McNeil run out there, the defense is going to have to think about that, right?
I know.
There's a lot you can do with that.
I just thinking Aleem running behind Zeitler and Penei Sewell over the side.
Oh,
That's
God.
a lot of beef coming right at you.
Can you imagine a corner trying to take down Aleem?
Oh, a corner is going to make the Deion Sanders business decision. Be like, next time. I'm the one that's looking at those press conference tapes first and telling you, hey, look at this. So that was when I got the text from you. I was like, oh, this has got to be good if Jacob's on it already.
Right. I watched live.
So we talked about the cornerback room, but one thing we didn't talk about, another thing that come out in those press conferences, Derek Barnes let it slip about Terry Arnold's nickname. Do you like it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Sub-Zero.
I know.
That was actually my favorite character in Mortal Kombat. And, with the blue and everything, that just perfect nickname.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. I was like, oh, man. And usually it's Dan Campbell dropping the nicknames. I just want to hear Terrion acknowledge the Sub-Zero, but I think we could let everybody know now Jacob and I are in the process of putting together a shirt. We got some concept art. Actually, my 9-year-old drew the concept art. He did a very good job.
I still think Jason drew it, but he's just blaming his 9-year-old.
No, if I drew it, it'd be worse. I'm not joking with you. That's why I asked my 9-year-old to draw it.
We should just use that.
Yeah. Well, it does look good, but I wanted to have someone just clean it up just a tad bit. But
no, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Good concept, good idea. We'll have t-shirts out available soon.
We'll figure out the details on that yet, but we're just kind of getting the art together. But I love the nickname. I think it's fun. When my youngest Bradley drew that picture, I was like, it was perfect. It was like exactly what I had in my head, and I couldn't believe that he had drawn it as well. As it was easy to hire an artist because I said, I want you to draw this just a little bit better. Hopefully it comes out well like it does in my head. So we'll see how that goes. One thing, I don't know if you read, Jacob, but a report came out about the Arizona Cardinals originally tried to jump up to pick 24. Not necessarily for Terry and Arnold. Did you see that at all?
Yes, I did. I saw where they had listed what the proposed trade was going to be versus what we gave up.
Yeah, it wasn't an accepted deal, so who knows if Dallas was going to take Arizona's deal. But the report was Cowboys would have got picks 27 and 104, and then Arizona would have got picks 27 and 174. Whereas with the other deal, the Cowboys got picked 29 and 73, and we got picked 24, and we got a 2025 7th rounder. We gave up particularly more than Arizona was offering, but if Terrion ends up being, what we think he can be, I really don't care that we had to give up more. And
no, Well worth it.
Yeah.
I do wish that we could find out who they were looking for.
Who Arizona was
for
looking
whatever,
at?
Yeah, for whatever reason that, that deal didn't go through. So was there a guy picked already? What happened there?
Well, they either they were picked or the Lions gave them a way better deal than what Arizona was either willing to do or had the opportunity to do.
Well, I mean, the way it looked like it, though, it looked like they were talking like almost like it was a done deal between the Cardinals and the Cowboys. So I guess, maybe the Cowboys gave us a call and said, this is what you got to beat.
Who knows how that, they don't show you all the negotiations.
Right. That would be cool to see, though.
Oh, yeah. That would be neat to be a fly in the room at that point and just kind of hear, how that all goes. And, you get some sense of that, but it's, it's obviously very censored what you see, and the team puts out what they want you to see.
Every team looks like they got exactly who they wanted and exactly how they wanted it. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They do that on purpose. It wouldn't be fair to the players, or I'd be like, oh, crap, we ended up with so-and-so,
Right.
That wouldn't look too good.
The Broncos. Crap, now we got to draft Bo Nix.
Yeah. I'm just thankful all those quarterbacks went ahead, because that's another thing that just pushed Terry on down. That and the Raiders taking another tight end way up there. So that was just another thing. It was just key.
Why wouldn't the Broncos have traded back, though? You see all the quarterbacks that went.
Why wouldn't Atlanta?
Are you worried about the Raiders?
Why wouldn't Atlanta trade back?
Right.
I mean, there was a report that the Bears tried to trade up with Atlanta, and which would have been one pick.
Yeah.
So, unless
and they obviously aren't going to be taking your quarterback,
right? They just drafted Caleb Williams. They're not going. I don't understand that unless you're thinking, we really want this quarterback. What if Chicago trades ahead and then trades to some other team, which seems very unlikely. That scenario would happen.
When you trade, how much of that time that doesn't reset, right? If you get 10 minutes for the pick, I don't know how long, presumably it would take for you to hammer out the details of a trade. You don't have much time, but they don't add any more time for the next team, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you just kind of take over the clock. I guess I don't know the answer.
How often have they ever, traded a pick twice? I don't know that that's ever happened, right?
Yeah, you think about how that would have to happen. You'd have to have another conversation with another team, like, we're going to trade up and get this, because then the other team wouldn't be privy to that, because then they would just trade directly with the first team. They wouldn't go to the second team. So, and
then if you run out of time, you lose that pick anyway, or you get skipped.
I don't know if that's totally truthful with that report about the Bears, going to trade up. I kind of wish it would have happened, just because then the Bears would have had to give up something. And then they would have had, presumably less draft picks later on, but maybe they wouldn't have drafted that punter. Maybe they would have traded that pick where they drafted the punter.
Yeah, good for them.
One other thing that Dan Campbell said that I think is of note is that he pretty much expects to have a full training camp. Outside of DJ Reader, it sounds like he expects everyone to be healthy at training camp. That's really, really good news.
Yeah, that's huge. I don't know, did he mention Mosley?
To me, that means that Mosley's going to be ready to play. Now, whether
just
that
because
means
he singled out DJ Reader.
He basically said DJ Reader is the only one. So, whether that means that Mosley's going to be full go, I don't know, but it sounds like he's going to be out there, at least on the sidelines at the beginning. Hopefully he's ready to go when the season starts and he's healthy, and that'll just deepen that room.
Right. A full training camp like that for everybody is amazing.
Yeah, it's good to start out that way, as opposed to, all right, we got, 4 or 5 guys injured and we'll see. And
then there's still a lot of what ifs and we don't know exactly.
Yeah. Well, and then also if they're injured there, then they're going to, even if they get healthy right before week 1, are they going to be ready to play? Like DJ Reader, even if he's healthy week 1, is he going to be, Pro Bowl player, or is he going to be?
Right. Is he going to be ready to go? Is he going to be playing up to that speed?
Right. So, or is he going to be playing 25% of the snaps, and as he gets built up to football shape, who knows? It's good that we only have, one player out, and Dan Campbell said it wasn't like a setback. This was expected. They knew that this was an injury that didn't surprise him. It would have surprised him, I think, if he's been ready to play, as opposed to the position that he's at right now.
Yeah. Outside of Dorsey with that, getting carted off, there was only a couple players that even really got banged up during OTAs or had any notable things wrong.
Yeah, it sounded like they held some people back just for precautionary reasons. Either they had slight injury risk or whatever, but it just sounded like, especially with the younger rookies like Ennis Rakestraw, they kind of just held him out, probably wanted him to see how the practice goes and, pick up things on the mental side of the game as opposed to being out there. I'm sure in the next 6 weeks they gave him things to work on and, they expect him to come back in football shape.
For sure.
So the Lions did have a big signing. I mean, huge signing. Everyone kind of expected this. I say huge
Breaking
as in,
news.
I say huge as kind of, sarcastically, but it is pretty exciting just because we've all been kind of expecting this. But Jake Bates, the kicker, signed a 2-year deal. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it was something obviously we were hoping for. We kind of expected because he played for the Michigan Panthers. He kicked in Ford Field. It just made too much sense. I like the signing. I like it's another person to compete. I thought it was interesting that they gave him the 2-year deal. I don't know if the 2-year thing was just something to outbid. I saw like the Packers, Commanders, there was a couple other teams that wanted him. I don't know if there's something to do with guaranteed money or why you offer him a 2-year contract from the jump. Did you look into that? Did you see that?
Yeah, I read that the details of the contract aren't out yet, so we just are up for speculation. But one thing I did find interesting, I read that just because it's a 2-year deal doesn't mean much. I mean, we need to know the details of the contract because last year he signed a 3-year, $2.6 million deal with the Texans, but then was cut. So because he had little guaranteed money. So the 2-year deal just on the surface doesn't mean, much like, oh, he's definitely our kicker. I don't think it means that. However,
it's probably more guaranteed money though. It's a bigger contract.
I'm thinking, if you're outbidding the other teams, the Packers, again, we get to screw the Packers, which is awesome.
Right.
Hopefully he kicks a winning field goal against them and just really rubs it in their face. That would be the best. That would be the kicker of this deal. But
pun intended.
Pun very much intended. So sorry about that, everybody. But we did. So we don't know how much is guaranteed. I went through the stats. So he was 7 for 7 in the area of 40 to 49 yards, which was really good. Outside of 50 plus, he was 6 for 10. However, that included 2 60-yarders, a 62, and a 64-yarder. So we had 4 60-yard.
Yeah, they were letting this dude just kick from wherever. And some of these kicks were like in clutch late game situations.
Well, that 64-yarder he made that kick. But if you watch the game, he actually made a kick before that. There was like a timeout called last second by the defense. And he went ahead and kicked it. He made it, the first one that didn't count. And that was also from 64 yards. Yeah, so then I was like, it's like one of those things. You're like, oh, he made it. There's no way he's going to make 2 64-yarders in a row. And he just kicked it clutch and he hit it. Again, it's going to add competition whether he just takes it out of the gate. Badgley did not have that great of a minicamp. James Turner looked to have a little better statistically, and he can kick it deep too, but the Lions were interested enough.
It looked like it was his job to lose, and then the Jake Bates signing comes in, and now you're like, now we got a competition.
All those guys are heads are on swivel. This guy's done it, and he can kick it deep. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I mean,
what you had said earlier too, though, he does have NFL experience. He was in a camp last year. Mm-hmm. He was let go. I think that he only played 1 preseason game before they let him go.
Yeah, they do that with those kickers when they gotta clear a roster spot. So I mean, some of those guys don't get a very fair shake because
you got to be perfect to stay on.
Right, and if you have someone with more veteran experience, you got to be way better than them. You have to show considerable more talent because they're going to take the for sure option, or a more reliable option, I guess, as opposed to got this kicker that can kick really long, but we don't know how he's going to play an in-game situation. That's why the UFL could work for some of these guys, and hopefully it works in his case. He would have had no other way to showcase his talent on a bigger stage than other professional football leagues.
Right. Reminds me of the Cowboys kicker, Brandon Aubrey.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of had a similar, they didn't really play high school football. College soccer players, they start showing out in the UFL. Now these NFL teams actually see them. They're getting the exposure. The Cowboys gave Brandon Aubrey a shot, and he was an all-pro. And the dude was just straight killing it. He did great. And I think that's another reason why the hype around Jake Bates has been so high is just we've seen the success that can be had. That's what we're hoping translates. And, it helps that he's already been kicking in Ford Field.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that interesting? Because now, you've seen the environment he's going to kick in. And I think we talked in our schedule release podcast that a vast majority, like I can't remember 14 or the first 15 games are in a dome. So you've already seen when he can kick in those environments, right? And he's kicked at our home stadium, which is probably a very unique situation, I would think, that we've seen him kick it, in the exact environment that he'll be kicking in. So yeah, I do think that that's pretty awesome.
A few less fans, but the same field.
Oh yeah,
nonetheless.
Yeah, and the tickets were a little cheaper too.
Yeah.
So he was 6 for 10. I know that's like a small sample size, not like he's been doing it for years, but I was interested in this because I just looked up to see what the average field goal percentage was from a kicker from 50 plus. Do you have any idea what NFL kicker the average from 50 plus is?
Just for all NFL kickers?
Yeah. I got it from StatMuse. It goes back to 1938. So.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's way more prevalent now than it was before. If it goes back that far, I'll say closer to 50%.
It's 74%.
Wow.
I was pretty surprised by that number. Now,
I would say recently, within the last 5-10 years, I would say it's been around that or higher.
Yeah. And this was 50 plus.
Not 62, 64 yards consistently.
Jake Bates is kicking from 60 plus, where most teams aren't going to kick that unless you're Justin Tucker and you're trying to win a game.
Well, I mean, with the Lions, you saw how much we like going for it on 4th down, and then we get down to the playoffs, and it's like, man, we need a big-time kick from about 50 yards or more. We don't trust our kicker enough that we're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, he trusted Badgley enough to do it in the Rams game, and he came through, but yeah, most part,
right. Were you not holding your breath the whole time he was out there?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Do you think the Ravens do that every time Justin Tucker comes out? No. They expect it to be good every time.
Exactly. And from whatever distance, I mean, he
right.
hit that.
Even if he has to hit the crossbar and break our hearts.
I know. God. Yes. Yeah. So, again, we're getting excited over a kicker, but it is the kicker that played for the Michigan
Panthers.
Panthers.
The brakes a little bit, but I mean, it's still very cool.
Yes. Yeah, it was nice that we got him, and it was interesting to see how many teams were in on him. The UFL must have got, did its thing. It got him some exposure, so hopefully there's some other guys that can take advantage of it.
Hey, he just needs a chance, right? Get your foot back in the door, and now you get to prove yourself.
Ooh, foot back in the door. That was
not intended. That was just,
just
my own genius just happening.
Wow. Just, I'm in awe. I wish the video was working so I could see your
You're
face.
In awe.
I just
see? You guys heard it. Every time Jason talks to me, he's in awe.
I can't contain it, man. It was quickly. You pointed out my pun really fast. I just wanted to return the favor to you. So
okay.
Even though you didn't even know what you had done, so whatever. So is there anything else you want to add on Jake Bates, or are we all kicked out?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right, man. All right, so Jacob and I are recording this on Sunday night. It's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day, Jacob.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you. Hope you had a good day. We thought it would be interesting to just talk about a favorite Lions memory with either as a father or as a son, even though this will come out after Father's Day. But since we're recording today, I thought it'd be fun. Do you have a favorite Lions memory being a dad or a son?
I do. So, it's interesting for me because my oldest is 13 years old. He does not care for the Lions. For whatever reason, he decided to be a Dolphins fan. I'm not sure how or where I went wrong, but
I have
that
theories.
is what it is.
I have theories.
I've made my peace with it. The youngest one, or younger one, Milo, he likes the Lions. He likes wearing his Lions gear and everything like that. JJ just likes, picking the other team.
He's older. He's a contrarian right now, so maybe he'll turn to the good side. one.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Hey, we're already doing better than the Dolphins did last year, and he hasn't changed yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, but, JJ thinks that they have the best wide receiver core ever. So, we'll see.
Oh, yeah. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. The flashy positions are the ones he thinks they're better at, but
Yeah.
that's debatable. I do have a favorite moment, and it was actually, funny enough, it was in a preseason game. So this was back in 2022, and this was the year that we were on Hard Knocks. So, the hype was pretty high for this season. This was our first home preseason game. Shouts out to my sister, Christina, because she actually won tickets for this preseason game. So I got to go to this game with my sister, my nephew, me, and my oldest son, JJ. It's a preseason game, so it's not quite the same as going to the regular season. But the crowd, there was actually a lot of people there, and they were kind of treating it almost like a regular season game. Everybody was getting loud and getting into it. It was pretty cool. The moment happened, though, it was around halftime. There's it's the 2-minute warning had already happened. We are in, I want to say maybe like row 15. Well, the people in front of us, they start filing out, trying to go to the bathroom and get food, whatever they're doing at halftime. So then I tell JJ, like, let's go down there. The Lions are driving. They're coming this way. Let's go down there. We get down to the first row. So there's nobody between us and the field. We're in the first row. And, he's kind of nervous. He's looking around like, are we allowed to sit here? Are they going to say anything? It's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And we actually got to see it was Devin Funchess. They threw a lob pass to Funchess, and he caught it in the corner and came down with it, like right in front of us. And that was an awesome moment. We jump up right away. We're celebrating. They're celebrating on the field. And, at the time, it was awesome to be able to see it in front of us. We go back to our seats. That was the game that David Blau fumbled that snap, and we ended up blowing it there at the end, which took the wind out of everybody in the stadium. But regardless, the moment was still cool. It got even better, though, because when Hard Knocks aired, they aired the episode, and you can actually see me and my son sitting there for that touchdown. They did a slow-mo of the touchdown, and you can see us in that first row, and you can see us start to jump up and everything. And that made the moment even better. I got a screenshot it on my phone and everything.
I always like that moment. You see it in baseball a lot, just like a home run will happen, and then you see the crowd react and how long it takes for them to react. I like that moment where you're realizing you're seeing something awesome like touchdown or a home run or whatever. And
right.
And just starts jumping up. That's
or
cool.
A buzzer beater shot, and you're looking at everybody in the crowd, seeing all their different reactions.
Yeah. What did JJ think about being on TV?
Oh, he thought it was cool. I actually had to wake him up because I think Hard Knocks came out like Sunday night. I was like, oh, nope. You got to get up. You got to see this. We're on TV.
Get up,
We're
son.
on HBO.
Screw school. You got to get up.
Right.
You're on TV. You're on HBO, man.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because he was wearing Lions gear. I made him wear Lions gear for the game, and now I've always got that proof.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And just a moment with your sons or whatever is a fun thing. And yeah, now that you can hold that over his head, that's even better too.
Even better.
Yeah. So mine, oddly enough, involves the Dolphins too. A few years ago, one of my brothers is a huge Dolphins fan. It started in the Dan Marino era. It's just kind of carried through. So, we'll see about JJ, but my brother just carried it all through. Now, he doesn't root against the Lions. He just is kind of like an SOL Lions person that he just thinks that they're always going to screw it up. And so the Dolphins are his team, which is fine. So their Lions were playing in Miami a few years ago. My other brother, Jeff, and my dad, we all went down and kind of spent the weekend down in Miami and got to see the Lions beat the Dolphins. So that was so great to, throw it in my brother's face. Love that part of it. But it was fun to just kind of be with my dad as an adult. You don't get a lot of opportunity to just spend extended time with your parents, especially after you start having kids. Life gets really busy. And so it was nice to just spend the weekend with them, and then we all got to go to, Lions game, and it was just a fun time, and I'll remember that. And then I had another experience with my boys just at the Lions. Well, we got season tickets last year, so the whole season, each game had its own moments. I had spoke before about the Rams, when we beat the Rams in the playoffs, and my my oldest, Preston, said, I'll remember this for the rest of my life. So that's probably, as a dad, that's all right. That's number one. But I'll always remember taking that trip with my dad and my two brothers, 'cause that added to it. My brothers were there. So that was a lot of fun. And the fact that we were down in Miami and, it was kind of far away.
Got the
so
victory.
It was
Yeah,
it was fun.
icing on the cake.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'll always remember that. We've been talking about doing a road trip again, but we haven't found the destination yet. So I'm sure it'll happen. Oddly enough, the away tickets are become a lot more affordable than the home tickets. So it's crazy,
Right.
But yeah, so happy Father's Day to every dad that's listening to this. Hope that you had a good day and hope that you get to create some memories with your kids, whether it's Lions or sports or whatever. So I think we're going to get into our favorite segment. You guys are ready for it. I've heard some good reviews from people on this, and I like it. You love it. We call it the Honolulu Blitz.
It's time for the Honolulu Blitz.
All right, here we go. In what round did the Lions draft kicker Jason Hansen?
This is a Lions thing. I'm going to say a third round.
It was a second round.
Man,
That was good, though. Second round pick. Bonus question. Do you know what year that was?
I don't know what year that was, but I'm going to guess. So 91.
Ooh, 92.
Man,
You
I
were
was
so
one
close
off on both, right?
Right. No, that was still impressive. Who are the only 3 Lions players to score more than 100 points in a season? And this is not including the kickers.
Oh, not including kickers.
So positional players that have scored more than 100 points in a season. There's only been 3.
Oh, I'm going to say Barry Sanders is obviously one of them.
He was number 3.
Calvin Johnson's got to be number 2.
Not Calvin.
Oh, really? Wow.
Really?
Oh, man. I guess
One of these is a really ancient player that you've mentioned before.
Oh, is it Billy Sims?
No.
Doak Walker?
It is
All
Doak
right.
Walker.
Yeah, I could have thrown that out there. Yeah.
And the other one is a recent player.
Really? Like, give me Matt Patricia era or past or before Matt Patricia?
This is Dan Campbell era.
Oh, Jameson Williams. Or not Jameson Williams, Jamal Williams.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You got him.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, because he broke Barry Sanders'
so Doak
records.
Walker actually did it twice. He had a 128-point season and a 106-point season. And then Jamal Williams had 104 points, and Barry Sanders actually had 102
102.
in a season. Calvin, I think, hit 98 that one year that he did really well.
I would have thought with the yardage, but maybe he just didn't score enough touchdowns. I mean, the yardage year.
That's just, for 100 points, harder for the receivers to get.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think there were 3 kickers on the list. Jason Hansen was on there.
Well, Eddie Murray
million
would have been
times.
the other one.
Yeah.
Because for my childhood, it was Eddie Murray kicked for the Lions forever, and then they went to Jason Hansen, and then we struggled with the kickers for a little bit, got Matt Prater, and now we're back to the
Not
kicker.
knowing for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What current divisional opponent do we have the worst winning percentage against
Like all time?
all time? You got a one.
I'm going to say the
chance here.
Bears.
It's actually the Vikings.
Vikings. Yeah.
Our winning percentage against the Vikings is .352.
Really? It's
Terrible
that
against
bad?
the Vikings. I was very surprised by that. That's why I wanted you to guess.
Yeah. Well, the Packers went through a period where they weren't very good, like between the Bart Starr, winning Super Bowls early, and then all the way up to Brett Favre. They were, kind of middling team. So we probably racked up some wins
I've only
there.
known Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and now Jordan Love.
Yeah. Well, know your history. Bart Starr was their quarterback that they, that won the
Know
first
your
Super
history.
Bowl.
Bart Starr.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay. What coach leads the Lions in all-time victories? So not winning percentage, but who has the highest number of wins?
I'd say Wayne Fonts.
Correct. 66 wins. Dan Campbell actually has 24 wins right now. And Wayne had 66, and it's the most all time.
Yeah.
So Dan could match that in,
Yeah,
4 years.
3 or 4
Hopefully,
years.
3 or 4.
Depending on, they keep adding games. We'll see.
Right.
Is that regular season wins?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So it probably doesn't,
Would playoff wins would have made that much of a
Dan
difference?
Campbell's already won more playoff games than any Lions coach in the Super Bowl era. So
I believe it's just regular season. All right. Final question for you. Who is your most hated NFL player of all time? You personally.
Oh, man. It's Aaron Rodgers for sure. I cannot stand that guy. Brett Favre's up there, though, too, just because of what kind of a person he's turned into.
During his playing or after?
Yeah, I mean, kind of both.
I mean, that's the aspect with Aaron Rodgers, too. You hate him for, what he's done to us on the field, but you also can't really stand him for off the field stuff either.
Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers way more than Brett Favre, just in...
He's way more vocal about it.
Yeah, well, Brett Favre just had some cool moments, like, the Monday Night Football when his dad passed away, he played really well.
Right.
He had some moments where it's hard saying I root for Packers, but I didn't necessarily hate him. When he started getting towards the end of his career and he started retiring, and then they did the unretiring and all that stuff, then, I was getting tired of Brett Favre, and then Aaron Rodgers just was, Aaron Rodgers, and I can't stand him at all.
Yeah. Plenty of reasons why.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, man. All right. I have a trivia question to start out with. Who broke the 100-yard rushing game drought? And he did it in 2018. There was a 70-game drought where Lions didn't have a 100-yard rusher. Any idea who that rusher would have been?
2018?
Yep.
Oh, man. So somebody that wasn't around a whole lot. Joik Bell.
Nope. Any other guesses, or you want me to tell you?
Hang on, let's see here. 2018. Reggie Bush.
Nope. This one's Kerryon Johnson. So Kerryon Johnson, He did it against the Patriots in the Matt Patricia revenge game or whatever, where they beat the Patriots.
I was at that game.
Were you? That's funny. Well, you mentioned Reggie Bush. He was the previous one to do it in 2013. So there was between Reggie Bush and Kerryon Johnson.
I was trying to think years timeline.
I liked Kerryon Johnson. I thought he was good, but he just his knee kept
the hype
injured.
thing, right?
Because actually, at that, I didn't want to talk about this during the Father's Day segment, but Kerryon Johnson had 179 yards in that Miami game. I didn't want to say that because I was kind of give away the answer to this question,
right.
But it was 2018 when we went Kerryon Johnson. I went to that game and I told my brother, I was like, Kerryon's going to rip you up, because he was playing pretty well. And he did. He had a really good game.
He showed a lot of flashes.
He did. It was just
injuries,
too bad. Yeah, it's just too bad. Second question. In what game last year did the Lions score the most points?
Oh, man. It wasn't the Ravens.
Yeah. Well, Captain Obvious. Okay, thanks.
Was it the Packers?
Nope. It looked like it.
The Broncos?
There you go. Broncos is one of them. Actually, the Broncos and the Panthers game, they both scored 42.
The Panthers, yeah.
They scored 42, but there was another game that's really close. The Chargers game scored 41.
We scored 34 against the Packers.
Yeah. So who would play Dan Campbell in a movie, if they made a movie of the 2023 Lions, who would play Dan Campbell in the movie?
Who would play Dan Campbell? Oh, man. Hang on. I gotta think about that for a second.
I know, it's a tough one, right? I've had the advantage of thinking about this, so I have the perfect answer, but I want to hear your...
No one's even popping in my head.
As soon as I say this person, you're going to be like, yes.
I don't have an answer. No, I want to hear who yours is.
All right, man. John Cena. Got to play him.
Cena.
He's the one that's built like him, and he could...
If it was a comedy movie, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't be a serious thing, but yeah, I think John Cena's the only one that I could
portrayal.
Think. Yeah.
I'm like Liam Neeson trying to think of dramatic actors. Like, nobody's built like Dan Campbell. Who can do that?
I know. Yeah. So, yep. All right, man.
Surprise. Dan Campbell pulls an 8 Mile. He plays himself in the movie.
No, and he blows everyone away, right? All right. Outside of Detroit, where's a venue that you want to see a sporting event at? It doesn't have to be football. It could be, any sport.
I've always wanted to go to Wrigley Field and see a Cubs game.
Yep. All right. So besides Sandlot, because you've already told me that that's your favorite movie of all time, what is the best sports movie ever? Can't use Sandlot, though.
It's tough between two, but I'm going to say Remember the Titans.
Okay. What's your other one?
I was thinking the other one is Friday Night Lights.
Ooh,
I like both those movies.
yeah.
I had JJ watch Remember the Titans with me not even that long ago.
What do you think?
That's a classic. He liked it too.
Yeah.
I mean, that one, it's like a bigger story than football, where Friday Night Lights is basically everything. It's about football. There's a couple other stories, but you know.
Yeah.
What's your answer for that? Now I want to know.
Oh, I could go a lot of different directions with this. Is boxing a sport?
Something preferably not in black and white. From the sound era, hopefully.
Yeah. Rocky would be one of mine. I just think that that's an amazing movie. I can't use Sandlot. I'm with you. I really like that movie. And that was fun showing my boys that movie. So I do like that one. Any Given Sunday is pretty good. Have you seen that or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. On the funny side, Major League is really funny and I really like that one. I don't know how much of that gets made now just because of how everything is portrayed, but I really like Major League. I think that's a hilarious movie.
JJ actually, he was listening. He said that you're wrong about John Cena. He said Stone Cold Steve Austin would have been a better choice.
Really? You think?
And I think, if you look the side by side, I think he looks way more.
Yeah.
He'd be able to pull the dramatic effect.
Yeah, and he has the goatee, right? Does he wear
Yeah,
he wear goatee? Yeah. So I was like, can John Cena pull off a goatee? Tell JJ that Stone Cold was in my mind too, and I did think of him. But
Okay.
I still think John Cena, but I can get behind him. I support his answer.
All right.
All right. But yeah, man. So it was great to actually talk to you. You've been on vacation.
I'll be back doing it again.
Yeah, I've been just kind of texting here and there, and I kind of felt bad texting you sometimes because I know you're on, family time with your kids. So
hey, you already know. You text me whenever. If I can't get back to you right away, it might take me 8 hours to text you back, but I will eventually.
I know, and I'm sitting and staring at my phone for those full 8 hours. Just so
I
you know,
I can tell.
Just like
Jason will send me 6 text messages in a row.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's because the thought hits me, and I'm like, if I don't send it now, then I'm not gonna be able to send it.
That's what happens when you're older.
Jacob has responded to every one of my texts, since we've been friends, except for one, and that's when I invited him to a cornhole tournament, and I think it's because he was scared and didn't want to embarrass himself, even because I am barely decent. I can play, and Jacob just never responded to it, and I had to bring it up to him after the tournament was over. He's like, "Oh, I just forgot to respond to that." So
I did.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take that however you want. I prefer to play football, baseball. Jason can't do any of those things. He can play cornhole.
Hey man, I could play it,
and he has to ice his wrists afterward.
I don't know what the ice my wrist. I'm good, man. I like sports that I can drink a beer while I'm playing. So
of course,
bowling,
of course you
bowling, and cornhole lead the way.
Sports that don't require very much athletic abilities.
Yeah, that's okay.
Your go-to.
It's okay, man. When you get my age, things start to break down. You'll get there. You're gonna get there soon enough. So, all right. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to again ask if you're enjoying what you're listening to. Please go on whatever your app of choice that you listen to podcasts on. Give us a review. Love to hear what you guys' thoughts on, what you like. Hopefully it's good, but if there's something that we can get better on, we'd like to hear that too. Thanks everybody for listening. It's good to have you back, Jacob. I'm actually, looking forward to going back to work with you. So been missing you at work, so I am happy with that, and I'm happy that we get to talk Lions football other than just via text. So it's awesome. Everyone have a good night, and go Lions.